So I played with the white pieces against decks the bit. Let's have a look. I played e4 and my opponent played c6. I was like, if he watches my streams, he probably knows that I hate this, but it's fine. We go for this. And here, like, I typically online, I play everything but knight c3. I either take this or I like something like that. I typically take just because like I want to, but here I decided to go for knight c3 because I'm more familiar with those positions. Didn't want to like risk too much. He went for this line knight f6 and I took. E takes f6, c3. I remember this like the last time I faced this line was like 10 years ago, so I remembered some moves from that. But obviously, like, my knowledge of this is very outdated and I still need to work on this. But I also very rarely play knight c3, so yeah. Short castle, knight e2, because if you go knight f3, where does the knight go? You don't really have a lot of access points. If you want to go to f5, might as well play knight e2 to support bishop f4, maybe go knight f4, or go through g3 to f5 or h5. So that's why knight e2. Rook e8 is what my opponent played. I played queen c2, and my opponent played here h5, and I was like, huh? Is that a thing? I'm not sure if this is like new theory or anything like that, but I've never seen this before. So this was a surprise to me. Obviously, I was considering like if my opponent would play g6, I would be considering h4, h5, and I would have some nice attack on the king side, I thought. So it makes sense that my opponent plays h5. I just had never seen it before. So my rating is 2135 right now, and I believe my opponent's rating was close to 2300. So it's like 150 difference or something. Bishop e3 is what I played, just save and sound, and probably prepare a long castle, because if I do short castle, obviously like I'm gonna get checkmated. Okay, not that crazy obviously, but this h pawn is gonna be a pain, so I am not going there. Knight d7, I played knight g3 to kind of bait out the pawn to move to h4. Apparently knight f8 is a decent move here. Oh, that's quickly, okay, not even in the list anymore. Okay, well, it said knight f8 was good, but now not anymore. All right, whatever. h4 is also a good move. Knight f5 seems logical. Knight b6. And here I had a difficult task. Do I take on h4, or do I take the bishop, or do I just go long castle? And I had a really difficult time evaluating the position after those three moves. I couldn't really figure it out, because after knight takes h4, the problem is that my opponent plays knight d5. There's a lot of pressure on the bishop, and I will probably like lose a pawn anyways, like knight takes e3, pawn takes, and the rook will take. I can try defending, but while I'm defending that, I'm also allowing like not this. There will be bishop f4, and there will be so much pressure. At some point I have to let go, and I will lose a pawn anyways. So I figured like my pieces will be a tiny bit misplaced, especially with the knight on h4. So I figured might as well just get rid of that bishop and have the bishop pair. I don't know how powerful it is, but I figured like, you know, I have something in the position going on. And here I played long castle. I was considering to play c4, but I was worried about this, but apparently the engine is saying that it's fine. Huh. I was really worried about that. Like, why would I give away a pawn like that? The only thing why you would play c4 is to stop the knight from going to d5, and knight looks really awkward there. But c4, queen takes d4, you just give up a pawn, but apparently it's fine. But yeah, really interesting. I just went for a long castle. Don't want to deal with that. And my opponent obviously played knight d5. I was thinking here, do I want to allow this? Like play, I don't know, like rook here or queen here to defend. But I was like, I want to keep the pair of bishops. Like, it's one of the few things I have in the position, right? And I want to keep the imbalance in the position as well. Bishop d2, knight f4. And now I was in a difficult situation because once again, I don't want to lose my pair of bishops, but if I don't take on f4, what's gonna happen? Like, this is gonna be captured, and I think this is a better bishop than this bishop. So I want to keep this. If g3, I mean, I can do that, but they will just take my bishop and like, oh, this bishop is so much better than this bishop. So like, if I trade one bishop for the knight, might as well do it with this one. And the engine is suggesting bishop h7, king h8, g3, but honestly, I think that's too much. It gives zeros in such a, like, I want to say complicated position, but really close to that, because there will always be g6 ideas, and it does look very iffy. I didn't really like that. So eventually I went for the capture, which removes the one imbalance I had in the position. Okay, there's more, but like very little, you know? Not very significant. So if you turf, yeah, so I mean, in what way would it end horribly? Because like long castle, queen g4, I don't know in what way it could end horribly. Like, it's not like you're losing the queen or something. There's a pressure on the pawn here. Engine is slightly favoring me while being down a pawn, but I don't really see where my play is. Like, I have a check there, and then like, I might have some play here, but I don't think it was worth it. Like, first of all, I didn't even consider this to be even remotely okay, but yeah, this is too much, I think. Yeah. Hey Franciscus, hello, good to see you. So yeah, I went for this line. I played king b1, my opponent played queen g4. Maybe I had to go queen d2 here. I wasn't sure if I should consider queen d2. I figured might as well put the king on a safe spot, but then quickly after this I realized maybe I should be doing queen d2 moves. So I went for this. My opponent played bishop g4, and now the problem is that if I play f3, my opponent might play bishop h5, and I will always have to deal with h3 threats. And I was not having that, so I went for queen d2. Now you might be like, hey, you let your rook hang? Nope. I am threatening to trade the queen, so that is something they have to deal with first. It's scary to make such moves, because what if there's suddenly some tactic in the position? But I couldn't see anything so for my opponent. So, all right, takes. Rook 88. Apparently the engine is favoring black here. Okay, interesting. I didn't know what to do here. Do I play f3, h3, or both? And I was like, if I play h3, bishop h5, I will have problems like putting my rooks on the e file. My rook cannot go to d1. And I was like, let's play f3 first. Bishop e6. And I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with h3 whatsoever. No. So I played h3, which is really weakening a lot of squares here. This is not recommended at all. But the one thing that made me feel like it's okay, first of all, my opponent has a light squared bishop. So if I have my pawns on light squares, it's basically blocking my opponent's piece. So I was like, I guess I have that. And it's not like my bishop here is stuck or anything. So like I can easily play around it. And also, how can black actually make use of those squares? Like my opponent can play rook to g5, rook g3, but they cannot put pressure on any of the pawns. I mean, I play rook e1, and good luck, you know, using your other rook to attack those pawns. And I can also put pressure on pawn h4 myself, so I thought it was fine. I thought I was fine. So my opponent played b5, which looks like a good move, because my idea is eventually to play c4. I was actually planning to play c4 here, because after rook takes d4, there's bishop h7 check, and you will lose your rook. So that's why my opponent played b5. b3 is what I played, because, well, I want to play c4 one day. And my opponent played king f8, so basically getting out of this check. It's never happening anymore. And here I played rook e1. And here I was just a little bit clueless. I was also a little low on time. We were around 20 minutes, both of us, but I was struggling to find like ideas here. Like, what do I do? Where do I play? Like, if I push some pawn right now, I'm just weakening that. If I play c4, I'm obviously losing that. Like, I didn't know where to create some play. I guess the only thing I was looking for was rook e4 here, but obviously my opponent played, okay, not yet, but they went for g5 later. They played b4 right here. Oh wow, apparently I could Huh. Oh man, that's so... So I went for king b2 to strengthen my position, and then after takes, king takes, and I'm fine. But apparently I could just take. I mean, obviously I considered this, but I thought rook takes d4, and I was like, I don't like this pin here. I don't like my doubled pawns. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to create a passed pawn. I wasn't sure about this position, but apparently rook e4 and I'm doing just fine. What if something like rook e d8? King c2 only move. Oh, well, only move that keeps the position, you know, for as an advantage for me. Wow. Okay, so I guess king c2 and you're fine. It's really difficult to estimate this. It's really difficult to estimate this, but I think the point is that you just took this pawn and you have a lot more play. And I think one of the main reasons as well is that f5, g5, g4 is just not happening. It's not happening anytime soon. So, right. King c2, king e7, takes, bishop c4. I mean, so basically if you take, I mean, I'm obviously winning because I can create a passed pawn and I'll have an outside passed pawn as well. So that should be winning for me. But after rook f4, for example, king c3 is the move. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't really know that this was any good. Like, I didn't like the pawns here, and it kind of felt like I would never be able to create a passed pawn and how to make progress. I guess plus 0.4 is still very tiny advantage. It may be nothing, and I also had to play very precisely, so yeah, it's a bit difficult. So, okay, I went for king b2, which is also not too bad. My opponent played g5, so rook e4 is kind of silly now to play. Rook e2. Here I was just completely clueless. I was like, I mean, what do I do? It feels like any move I do is just useless. So I went for this. My opponent played a5. I went for bishop e4. I was just playing around, trying to, like, you know, not blunder and survive the time trouble. I mean, time trouble. I had like around 10 minutes here probably. Bishop f. Wait, not here. Not here. Okay, here they took here. King takes. Rook d6, defending the pawn, obviously. And here here started the maneuvering. I guess bishop d3, rook e d8, bishop c4, bishop f5. And apparently there's an advantage here. Yeah, I heard about this move and I was considering it at some points as well, but I never really like gave proper thought to it because I didn't like it. So apparently f4 is a really good move here. After g takes f4, I play rook f2, and then like I gain a huge advantage because, well, I kind of like break the position, open it up, and yeah, the thing I'm worried about is g4 though. Like, what do you do after g4? Takes and rook e1? Huh. I didn't really like this because my pawns are pretty vulnerable right now, and the more I trade, I feel like the more, like, the less weak this pawn gets. So I didn't really like that. But yeah, that was difficult. So yeah, in any case, f4 was apparently the right move to play. But yeah, it felt a bit too dangerous for me. I considered it a few times, not maybe in this position, but sometimes it crossed my mind like f4 could be a nice breakthrough. But I didn't really like the g4, and I think in this position it already didn't cross my mind anymore. I was just trying to survive the time scramble. What did I play instead? I played rook e1. Let me promote this move. Okay, there we go. Rook d... Oh, no, that's not D, that's an 8. Rook 87. Here again, F4, which is even better, apparently, because my rook is already on E1. But remember in the line it said rook E1? Now it's even better. Wow. So I had a small chance here, basically, to make something happen. But it is so difficult. Like F4, G4. But yeah, I guess now it's more clear. Oh. Now it's more clear because you play rook H1 and you just win this pawn. Ah, so sad I didn't consider this. Now is the time. Now is the time. What if they don't do anything? Like, they just go back. What happens? Takes? And then rook F1, rook E5. And then... Oh, everything falls apart. Wow. Wow. Man, so sad I didn't consider that. It's kind of sad I didn't consider it. Wow. Okay, so I played something else. I played rook E2. Yeah, I was just, you know, moving back and forth. Rook E2. Wait, I think I messed up. Move 31, right? Wait, I think I skipped a few moves. Hold on. I think I skipped a few moves. Yeah, it's so confusing when you see similar moves in a position. They play bishop e6 here. I'm sorry. This line was not even existent in the game. Okay, whatever. Rook e2 is what I played. Rook b8. I mean, the moves are super similar. Rook b2. Here, f4 again, but less good than before. Rook bd8. Rook bd2. So apparently this was a threefold repetition. This position. And it stops because, like, it should be a draw. It should be threefold repetition. It should be claimable. And as I did rook bd2, press the clock, I was like, wait. I think this is a threefold repetition. So let me show you why it is. So once the bishop got here, this is the first time it was on the position. Then this happened and I went back to e2. This is the second time. And this is the third time. Did you hear the sound? Like, moves changed? But it's the third time, the same position. And the way that claiming a draw works in OTB is that you do your move, you stop the clock, write it down, call for the arbiter, and say, yo, third time is repetition in this position. They will have to check and everything, or your opponent will be like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, let's take the draw. But, yeah, that's how it works. Once you do the move and press the clock, as in, like, you know, it's your opponent's turn, you press the clock, that's when you cannot claim anymore. And I was like, dang it, man. I didn't know if I wanted to claim the draw, but I was feeling very nervous because of the time scramble. Like, it wasn't super bad, okay? Like, I always have like 2 seconds when I play online chess, but when you have 1 minute in OTP, you're terrified to flag or make a horrible blunder, because my opponent had some really crazy tricks. Like, I could easily fall for those tricks. So yeah, that's why I was very terrified, and I might have taken the draw if I realized, but I was also a bit worried to like claim, make a wrong claim. So we move on. My opponent played bishop d5. Rook e1. This is where rook ad7 came on the board. Rook e3. f4 again was an idea, but not too crazy anymore. Bishop e6, rook e2, king e7. My opponent really wanted to try to go for the win, as you can tell. And here f4 was a really good move. Yeah, here I can understand why it's super good. I did consider it here, I think. But you know what the thing is? I didn't really see what the point is after a move like king d8. Like, what is the point of this? Oh, I completely missed this. Ah! I completely missed rook e5. How many moves were played until now? So we are right now, here it's move 35. Bishop e6, rook e2, king e7, f4. Yeah, f4 would have been really great. Now is the right time, really. Now is the right time, because not only are you like You know, you're also threatening f5, but you're also like... Yeah, you have those really weak pawns on the 5th rank. Not like that. This. I completely forgot to look at that. Didn't really consider that. So yeah. Anyways, f4. That was not played. I played rook e4. I cared more about my rooks. You see what I did there? Yeah, we were getting close to 40 moves, but we were also getting close to flagging. Like, I think, like, on the last move, I had, like, 1 minute or something? And I felt terrified. I was so scared to blunder. King d8, rook d2, bishop d5, and this is move 38. Now move 39, rook e8. And deep inside, I was terrified that I'm doing something differently, because I was like, move 40 approaching. This is move 40, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. But yeah, apparently this was good. My opponent played king b7, and I took here, and I thought I was, you know, I was having a good position here. I thought I was doing fine. Everything seems great, and I took this pawn, and obviously they can take the pawn back like this, which happened in the game as well. But I thought I had more active rooks, and I'm able to trade off a pair of rooks, like forced. So I thought like maybe I have some good chances here to win. King c8, rook a8. Oh no, that's not what I played, but apparently it's a better move. So the engine wants to keep the 2 rooks on the board. I was terrified of rook d3. I was terrified of that. So rook a7, king c8. I just took the rook. I just traded, and I thought let's win this endgame. But quickly enough, I realized maybe it's not that easy, because I played a4. And my opponent played the strong move rook d1. Apparently it's not favored by engine, but I thought it was a really strong move. Because I started thinking here, and I was like, wait a second, like... So once again, as soon as we cross move 40, we get 30 minutes added to our clock. So I had quite some time here to think. And everything that I was calculating, like I play rook a2, they play c5. I play king b4. Like the line goes like after rook a2, c5. They can give me a lot of checks here and there, like be really annoying because my pawn is vulnerable and my king cannot really move forward really easily. What also annoyed me is that as soon as I go rook a2 as well, like king b7, king a6, and that stops the pawn, and my king can't really support this pawn easily. Also, if I go crazy, I might lose this pawn and then the whole position. So I need to keep an eye on this pawn. And if I play c5 myself, first of all, rook a1 is the next move. So that is something I need to worry about. I was thinking of king b4 as well, but rook a1, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like the position. It was, yeah. It felt like my opponent could easily draw here. So I went for rook a2, just, you know, put the rook behind the pawn and we'll see what happens. My opponent plays c5. And I'm kind of like stuck here in a cage, kind of. I can't go forward. And if I do like this, then I'll get destroyed by rook d4 check. If I go crazy, I get checkmated. So we're not doing that. A5, king b7, rook b2, king a6, rook b5. Here I thought I still had some chances, but I knew what I was signing up for. I knew like this is so tricky. Rook takes g2. My pawns are getting lost here. I have my pawns here, but I didn't like it at all. Rook f5, rook g3. I was happy about this because rook h2, if I go king b4, rook b2 check, and I have to go back. But now I can safely go here. But I still think it's a draw. Let's have a look. Let's have a look if it was ever winning. Rook takes, king b7. Here I gave a check, so apparently this was a bit more precise. Feels like the same kind of, but then without the pawn on a6. Let's have a look what goes on here. King b8, rook takes. Rook h1. King c5. Rook a1. King b6. Rook b1. King c6. Rook a1. A7. Here I was like, oh yeah, I have one final trick, man. I have one final trick because if takes, it's checkmate. It was kind of cute. King a8. Rook g7, rook a6, king b5, rook takes, rook, oh no, rook g8 first, king b7, rook takes g5, rook a3, rook g7, king b8, rook f7, h3, and this is a very much drawn position. I mean, I don't see how I could have played better. I don't see. Rook e3, rook f8, king a7, king d5. Here my opponent had one final trick. I was terrified of this. I was really terrified of this. If I play a move like c5, oh, it's not lost? Oh. I was terrified. I was like rook e6 and I'm gonna lose, man. Like rook h6 and how do I stop this pawn? But apparently I have c6, only move. I was terrified. I was like, oh my god, my opponent has some tricks here still. And here I was already very low on time again. I was like on around 1 minute, so at some point I was like, I'm happy with the draw. I cannot handle the stress anymore. Like it was getting too much for me. Rook h7, king c8, c5, rook f6, king c4, and yeah, this is a very typical draw because my opponent just stays on 6th rank, and as soon as I play c6, because I cannot push my king forward, my opponent goes rook f1, and it's a typical draw. I cannot avoid all the checks. If I go here, I can't win. Yeah, so that was the game. Very interesting endgame. I don't think it was ever winning this endgame. The engine was happy about some situations like this one, but maybe yeah, I shouldn't have played a6 here. So maybe I should have waited with a6, because the more you push the pawns, the more weak they get, and this pawn cannot cross ever because my opponent can defend really easily. The thing is, I'm not really like, it's a bit hard to enjoy chess when like you have a lot of things going on at the same time. I'm really stuck with uni. I'm not able to study chess. I really enjoy streaming chess, but I'm having a hard time playing OTB because of the nerves. Like one game matters so much to you, because like I lost my last game and I lost three rating points. And that hurts kind of, you know, like I spent my entire day just to lose 3 points. And I also didn't learn much from it other than don't be so stupid.